This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so Parsha Vayeshev, page 198 in the Stone Chumash, Perek Lamed Zayin 37. So we just, the previous Parsha concluded with Esav's generations, but Yaakov is now returned to the land of Canaan. He's returned back home. His mother has passed away. He never reunited with his mother, but he's back home with the 12 boys, and the Parsha begins, Vayeshev, Yaakov. Yashav, Yeshev means he settled. Jacob settled Be'eretz Mugurei Aviv, in the land of his father's English sojournings, in the land of Canaan. So the sages right away pick up on this change in terminology. It doesn't say Yaakov settled in the land where his father settled, or Yaakov sojourned in the land where his fathers sojourned. Yaakov settled in the land of his father's sojourning. And Rashi brings the very famous teaching of the sages, Bikesh Yaakov Leishev Bishalva. Yaakov wanted to settle peacefully, right? You know, the retirement place here in Orange County used to be called Leisure World, right? Now it's Laguna Woods. But it used to be called, it's still LW, but it was Leisure World. So Yaakov wanted, all right, time to play some tennis, work on my golf, catch up on some reading, right? Maybe binge watch a little bit. Yeah, it was time to settle down. That's Vayeshev Yaakov. Yaakov wanted to settle in the land of Mugurei Aviv, but his fathers, Yitzchak and Abraham, they never quite settled. They were always doing. There was always more things to do, more to accomplish, more that they could do. And Rashi, I said, brings Bikesh Yaakov Leishev V'shalva. Yaakov wanted to sit peacefully. Kafatz alav rogzo shel Yosef. What happened? That whole angry incident of Joseph jumped him. He got jumped by this whole incident of Yosef. And then Tzadikim Mavakshim Leishev V'shalva, the righteous, they want to sit peacefully. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God's response is it not enough for the tzaddikim? Mashmetukan lahem lolam haba. It's not enough that which is ready, prepared, waiting for them in the world to come. Elishim Mavakshim Leishev V'shalva Ba'olam Hazeh. They want to sit peacefully in this world. Wow. What's so terrible about wanting to settle down a little bit? He's had a very, very stormy life. He's had a very difficult life, right? He and Esav as children, not so easy. He gets the brachot, he runs for his life. He spends 14 years working for his 2 wives, another 6 years working, and Lavan tries to swindle him, and then he leaves, and then he, on the way to encountering Esav, he encounters that angel, that Ish that he struggled with. And then he encounters Esav. And then we have the incident with his son Reuven. Different ways of explaining what Reuven did. It's been a rough go. It's been a rough go. And now he wants to settle. Nope. Here comes the Yosef incident. Right? It's going to overtake him very soon. What is wrong with wanting to settle? Why is it that he can't settle? It's not enough. Tzaddikim, they have olam haba. They want a peaceful olam hazeh. No, that's not how it works. Why not?
Because he took the blessing?
But that's not what it says. It doesn't say because he received the blessing, he can't, because he took the blessing, he can't settle peacefully. We seem to be making a general statement. Tzaddikim, they have Olam Haba. They have the world to come. Olam Hazeh is not going to be, right? They can't also expect Olam Hazeh to be so simple, peaceful, tranquil. Right? Right? What you're saying could be, but that's not what it says. Right? Chazal, the sages, make a more general statement. Is it not enough for the tzaddikim that they have olam haba, that which is prepared for them in the world to come? They want to sit peacefully in olam hazeh. Why not? What's so terrible?
Was it because his children were at odds and he couldn't be at peace? He couldn't relax, maybe because his children were, thinking something up, maybe?
Again, Rose, that might be the case, but we're making a more general statement. Tzaddikim, the righteous, have olam haba waiting for them. They can't expect it in olam hazeh. We're not giving specific reasons of, like Cheryl said, because he took the brachot, or like you, Rose, are saying, because of the children, because there is issues with the children. We seem to be making a general statement. Tzaddikim have olam haba metukan all ready for them, and therefore don't expect olam hazeh to be a breeze, to be settled. Good morning, Rosa. Yes, Cheryl.
This isn't the life where we're supposed to be sitting around in leisure.
Okay.
This is the life where we have to keep going. I mean, tzaddikim and us.
Yeah.
We all have to just keep on keeping on.
I once heard a very good parable, right? Imagine a person, they won a grand prize. What's the grand prize? They have 45 minutes in Macy's, in this big, in Lord and Taylor, I don't know, right? In one of these massive department stores. Whatever they throw into a cart is theirs. But they've got 45 minutes. And ding, it begins. And the person runs in there and starts grabbing clothing and electronics and jewelry. And the person's working like a maniac. And then after 15 minutes, he gets to the bedding section. And he says, ooh, Simmons Beauty Rest. I've heard that those are amazing. This is great. Wow, this is amazing. I could turn this way, I could turn that way. This is the life over here. Oh, this with a pillow. They get a nice down comforter. Ooh, this is amazing. I'm going to take a little nap. I'm going to nap. Let me set my watch for a half-hour nap. Could you imagine? Of course not. Now's not the time to nap, right? Grab a Simmons Beauty Rest and throw it into a cart, and you'll have it. But now you've got 45 minutes. Do all that you can. Take all that you can. And that's what this world is. This world, the Chavetz Chaim, many give a parable. It is a world where the streets are lined with diamonds, literally lined with diamonds. A kind word here, a tzedakah there, a mitzvah here, a bracha here, a tefillah here, a Hanukkah light over here. The mitzvah, they're just all around us, constantly. Diamonds all around us. And what do we need to do? We fill our pockets. We fill our pockets. It's a world of opportunity. It's a world of opportunity. I've mentioned before one of the great rabbis of the previous generation, Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky, of blessed memory. When he was in his 80s, that's when the Iron Curtain was falling, and he was able to go visit Russia, and he went to Russia, and he had a cousin there who he studied with in yeshiva, but who had remained in the Soviet Union, and was now also a man in his 80s. So it had been 65 years, 70 years since he had been in yeshiva. And Rav Yaakov comes there as one of the Gedolei Hador, one of the Torah greats of our generation. And he had with him a little pocket-sized Tanakh, right? Torah, Nevi'im, Ketuvim, scripture. And his cousin looked at it and said, "What is that?" He didn't know what it was. He had so forgotten all that he had grown up with after 70 years of Soviet indoctrination. And Rav Yaakov came back to the States and started an organization that when the Russian immigrants would leave the Soviet Union and come to the United States, an organization that would help them with all their needs and also re-educate them, give them a glimpse of the Torah treasure that is part of their heritage that they had missed out on. That he started doing in his 80s. He started that organization in his 80s. So it's an outlook, it's an understanding that this is a world of opportunity. And every moment that passes is one moment less that we have in this world of opportunity. And therefore we need to do. Not that we can't relax sometimes, right? We need some downtime in order to be productive and have our strength and our energy and our desire to do. But it's not all about working on our backhand, even if our backhand is a little bit weak, right? It's got to be about accomplishing in life. Okay, so let's just zoom up a little bit. I'm sorry, Rosa, on page 198 in our stone Chumash. Okay, now Yaakov loved Yosef from all of the children, right? Yosef was the firstborn child of his beloved Rachel, right? Oh, I'm sorry, I left that. And when discussing, the difficulties of Yaakov's life, let's not forget that his mother died, never got to see her after he left, and his Rachel, his beloved wife Rachel, also died in childbirth when she gave birth to Benjamin. Okay, so Yisroel, it was all about Rachel. She died. These are the two children that he has. The oldest is Yosef, the two children that he has from Rachel, and he has a special connection with Yosef, and he shows favoritism, and he makes for him a fine woolen tunic, a special coat. And this coat, this demonstrated the fact that Yosef was kind of above the other children. Not a good idea. Yosef starts to have his dreams. What's the first dream? There we are on page 201, right? We are binding sheaves in the middle of the field. My sheaf arose, remained standing, and all of your sheaves gathered around and bowed down to my sheaf. Oh, this made the brothers feel really good, didn't it? We could only imagine. This is going to increase the harmony. And then he had another dream, and he told his brothers, the sun, the moon, and 11 stars are all bowing down to Guess who? We're all bowing down to me. What is Yosef doing here? He had these dreams. Why is he telling these dreams to his brothers? Doesn't he realize how this is going to cause animosity, jealousy, strife? What is Yosef thinking here? What would you say?
Maybe maybe he wanted to show or tell them that he was above because he was already the favorite and he was higher than them. I don't know.
Okay. So, yeah, Cheryl?
I've had dreams too that are just, I think I've told you about some of them. You have to share them sometimes. You need feedback. It's so unsettling. So maybe he was just trying to get a response and bring them together and discuss them or something.
Okay. Sometimes suddenly we have troubling dreams and want to try to get a sense of what it might mean, right? At the same time, I think we need to be selective
Right.
in
It seemed
terms
like he was bragging.
selective in terms of who we share, right? If I'm being troubled by a dream, right? So if in the dream, I saw Bob stabbing Harry, maybe I won't discuss it with either Bob or Harry. Maybe I'll find someone else to try to discuss it with, right? But going to the brothers seems to be incendiary. I mean, it seems to be something that's definitely going to cause. So what it seems to me is that Yosef had a very we can call it immature and unrealistic view, meaning he thought these dreams showed that he's going to be in a leadership position. And he thought that by sharing it with his brothers, perhaps, this conjecture, he thought that by sharing with his brothers, they would see that it's not that I'm trying to propel myself. It's not that Father's trying to propel me. This is what I'm destined for. I'm going to be in a leadership position. So, it's not that here I'm trying to push you guys aside, but realize this is heavenly sent. And when I say immature or misguided, if a Navi would have come and said, you will be in a leadership position, fair enough. But dreams are often our own aspirations, our own thoughts. So the brothers did not look at this as, oh, the heavens are propelling him into this position and let us not fight against it. But rather they viewed this as his own selfish wish that everyone's bowing down to him. And this just made it worse. Now, this is important because we discussed last week a view, an approach that Yaakov went through a transformation. We discussed Yaakov being a man of truth. And we said, man of truth didn't sound like such a man of truth when it came to the bracha, when it came to the blessings that he received from Isaac, disguising himself as Esav. So there are different approaches, but an approach that we did offer last week was, he was not a man of truth then, but he became a man of truth. And it was through that pitfall that he actually was able to rise up and become such a man of truth. And Yosef Right? Interestingly enough, Yosef's dreams were prophecy, and it's true. Right? They would all bow down to him. When would they all bow down to him? In Egypt, when they come down to Egypt. But Yosef's lofty position is in order to help them. That is the job of a leader. The job of a leader is there to help and lift up others. There's a Tehillim that I saw this morning. It's going to apply to Yehuda in a moment. But chapter 72 in Tehillim, King David is speaking about the position that his son Solomon will take over. May judge the nation with righteousness, Yadinam Chavit Tzedek, Vaniyecha b'mishpat, and the poor with justice. Right? Yishpot Aniyam, may he judge the nation's poor. Yoshia, save Livnei Avion, the children of the destitute. V'yidakei Oshek, and crush the oppressor. When a person has power, it's not for their own self-aggrandizement. The power is there in order to help those who are in need, to crush the oppressors of those who are in need, and to lift up those who are in need. So Yosef, yes, these are prophecies. Yes, you will be in a position of power in order to help your father, in order to help your brothers, in order to help their families, in order to help found the nation. So we saw how Yaakov went through a transformation. And we see over here the beginning of Yosef, where it is awkward, immature. And actually, let's double back to 198 for a minute. At the end of Pasuk Bet, Vayave Yosef et dibatam ra'ah el avihem. What would Yosef do? Anything bad the brothers would say, Yosef would go running. Daddy, you know what he said? Daddy, you know what he said? Rashi brings three things. One of them is that he said that the brothers of the sons of Leah would speak badly about the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, calling them avadim, calling them slaves. And we know what ended up happening. Yosef ended up being sold as a slave. Right? He condemned them for calling others slaves. He went running. So we have this immaturity, or certainly this lack of awareness of what the things he was saying and doing, the effect it was having. So perhaps he was telling the brothers about the dreams in order that they would accept it, but it had the exact opposite effect. Right? So his father yelled at him. Pasuk Yud on page 200, he told his father and his brothers, and his father yelled at him, what is this dream that you dreamt? Will I and your mother and your brothers come to bow down to you? The brothers were jealous. But the father, in English, kept the matter in mind. Rashi learns he was hoping and waiting for it to happen, but of course none of that was shared outwardly. Yosef was not aware of that. And then page 202, what happens? We're not going to go into the whole thing over here, but his father sent Yosef to go see how the brothers are doing. They see Yosef coming, and they say, let us kill him, and we'll throw him into one of the pits. and we'll say that an animal, a wild animal, devoured him. And we're not going to spend a lot of time on it this time. We spent time in the past. What were the brothers thinking? These were tzaddikim. These were righteous people. Right? We might have been jealous of our siblings at one point or another. We might have even said, I'm going to kill you, but we never actually thought of actually doing it, right? Or even got close to actually doing it. And some of the commentators, Seforno explains that they viewed Yosef as someone who was trying to destroy them. They said, look at our family history. Abraham had Yitzchak and Yishmael. Yishmael was rejected. The lineage goes through Yitzchak. Yitzchak had two sons, Yaakov and Esav. Esav was pushed aside, and the lineage goes through Yaakov. Now, Yaakov, our father, has all of us and Yosef. What is Yosef trying to do? Yosef's trying to turn us into the Yishmael and the Esav of our generation. He's trying to destroy us in this world and in the next world. Therefore, they gave him the status of a rodef. A rodef is a person who's chasing someone trying to kill them. The halacha is that person turns around and kills the person who is trying to kill them, right? You save your life. You don't allow yourself to be killed. So they judged him as a rodef, and therefore they said, let's throw him into a pit. Kill him and throw him into a pit. Now, the din of a rodef, the law of a rodef is, I'm allowed to kill him if that's the only way I could stop him from doing it. But if I can prevent him from doing what he's doing without killing him, I'm not allowed to kill him. Ruvain speaks up. Vayishma Ruvain, page 202, Pasuk Chaf Aleph. Ruvain heard Vayatzilei miyadam and saved him from their hand and said, Lo nakenu nafesh. Let us not kill him. Ruvain said, let's throw him into page 204, verse 22. Let's throw him into a pit. Let our hands not be with him. According to some of the commentators, Or HaChaim says, let us not kill him. Let's throw him into a pit. And let's see, there are non-bechira, non-free-willed creatures. A human being is a free-willed creature. Let's throw him into a pit. And let's see what God wants to be done with him. What was Reuven actually planning to do? The pasuk says to save him and bring him back home. Well, Yosef comes, they strip off the garment and the coat, they throw him into the pit, and they sat down to eat. Vayomer Yehuda. I want to focus today on Judah, on Yehuda. Yehuda became the Melech. Royalty goes through Yehuda. King David, who we quoted before in Tehillim Ayin Beis, is talking to his son Shlomo. What must the king do? He's not there for his own honor and his own pomp, not for his power, not for his wealth, not leishev b'shalva, not to sit peacefully as they're fanning him and dropping grapes into his mouth. The king is meant to be working for the people, for the oppressed. And here we have Yehuda, the exact opposite. V'yomer Yehuda el Achav, Yehuda said to his brothers, Ma betza kina roget achinu, v'gzino damo. What's in it for us? What do we stand to gain if we'll kill our brother and cover his blood? Let's sell him. L'chuven ikrenu. And our hand will not be against him. Ki achinu b'sarenu. Hey, let's not forget, this is our brother. This is our own flesh and blood. We shouldn't kill him. He's our own flesh and blood. What should we do? Let's sell him. The antithesis of what a melech is all about. He's the leader of the brothers. They listened to him. Reuven had a plan. I'll say this and then I'll do that. Because he didn't have the confidence and the strength and the position to lead the brothers and say, no, let's send him back to his father safely. So he had to look for a way to do it that he wouldn't go against the brothers to be able to save him. Yehuda's in control. Yehuda says, no, we're not going to do that. Let's do this. We could profit from it. So we see Yehuda has his power, has his leadership. He holds the sway of the others, but he guides them in a very non-melech, non-king manner. The king manner is to help the ashukim, to help those who are oppressed, to help those who are in difficulty. And he says, how can we line our pockets from this oppression? Let's not just kill him, let's sell him. We can line our pockets from this oppression. And a couple of years ago, we discussed there are different ways of learning the verses, who actually sold him. But either way, the brothers are held responsible for the sale. We'll just look at that pasuk. Look at pasuk 28. Vayavru anashim midyanim socharim, and there passed by these Midianite men, traders. Vayimshechu, and they pulled. Vaya'alu, and they brought up Yosef min habor. Vayimkaru, and they sold Yosef to the Ishmaelim with 20 kesef. Rashi learns that floating pronouns, and they pulled him, and they sold him, is going on the brothers. But if you read the psukim simply, the pasuk simply, it says, Anashim Midyanim, the Midianite tradesmen passed by, and they pulled, and they sold him to the Ishmaelim. Right? So according to Rashbam, according to some of the classic commentators, the brothers are not the one who actually sold Yosef, but they're held responsible for it. According to Rashi, they're the ones who sold Yosef. Ruvain comes back to the pit and wants to pull out Yosef. He sees Yosef's gone. They take a goat, they slaughter it, they dip his coat in the blood, page 206. They send it back to their father. Recognize, is this the coat of your son Yosef? And Yaakov recognizes it, and he tears up his garments, and he goes into mourning and says, I'll never leave this state of mourning. See, here the brothers thought by getting rid of Yosef, then the special love their father felt to Yosef would now be directed to them, and on the contrary, now he's longing for Yosef, pining for Yosef, mourning for Yosef. And he says, I'll go down to my grave mourning for Yosef. Page 208, now we start the Judah story, the Yehuda story. According to the sages, the brothers looked at Yehuda and said, you were the leader. We listened to you. You told us, let's not kill him, let's not leave him there, let's sell him. We listened to you. And now look at all the pain you've caused our father. Had you, as the leader, said, send him back home, we would have listened to you. So Yehuda has now been deposed. Yehuda is being shunned, castigated by his brothers. And what does Yehuda do? Not like a proper leader. What does he do? I'm out of here. You don't like it? Hasta mañana, sayonara. It's been nice. See you later. Yehuda left his brothers. He joined up with an Adulamite man whose name was Chira. Yehuda bat ish Kanani. And he saw there the daughter of a man who was a Kanaani. Now, most of the commentators learn Kanaani over here does not mean a Canaanite. Remember, Avram did not want Isaac to marry a Canaanite, and Rivka did not want Yaakov to marry a Canaanite. So actually they say this means a merchant. Others say it's actually a Canaanite. And even if you want to say that it's a merchant, but we use the term Canaanite to describe him, which means Yehuda, it seems, is leaving it all behind. I'm out of here. He leaves the family, goes into business with this guy, Chira, and marries a local woman. And she got pregnant, gave birth to a son, named him Er. Had another son, named him Onan. Had a third son, named him Shelah. Vaya bichziv v'lidata oto. And he was in a place called Chaziv when she gave birth to him. What's it telling us? He wasn't there for the birth. Meaning, he's off doing whatever he's doing. His Canaanite wife, or daughter of a Canaanite, or daughter of a merchant is there having his kids, and he's off somewhere. He takes a wife for his oldest son. Her name is Tamar. This oldest son of Yehuda was evil in the eyes of God, and he died. Yehuda said to son number 2, okay, do yibum. Right? This concept existed before the Torah gave it. This was the idea that a brother marries the wife of a late brother and thereby continues on at least the children or the child is the progeny of the late brother. V'hakem zerah lachicha, Pasuk 8, and you will thereby establish offspring for your brother. That way he'll have continuity. Verse 9, Onan knew the kids would not be considered his, they'd be considered this progeny of his brother. And therefore he refused to impregnate his wife, Tamar. And he died. Right? Things are going downhill for the Yehuda family. Yehuda says to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, wait until Shelah, my youngest son, gets old enough. And because he was afraid Shelah will die like the other two. Rashi, Ramban argue, was he actually planning on marrying Shelah or not? One says, yeah, only once he'd be old enough, mature enough to not make the same mistakes as his brothers. The other one says, no, he had no intention. He was just pushing her away. Well, the days are going by, and Yehuda's wife dies, and he went up to shear his sheep. Tamar is told, your father-in-law is coming up to Timnah to shear his flocks. What did she do? She took off the garments of mourning. She is still dressed like a mourner, like a widow. She is waiting patiently, properly, to marry Shelah. But she takes off and she goes and waits by the crossroad. Why? Because she saw that Shelah had gotten older, and had not been given to her. And he had not been given to her as husband-wife. According to the opinion that he was never intending to marry the two of them. According to the opinion that he wanted to wait till he became older, she saw that he was physically old enough. But Yehuda was waiting till he was emotionally mature enough. Yehuda saw her, Tetvav 15, Vayachshevel Lizona, and she thought that she was a woman who availed herself for men. Zona, a prostitute, a harlot. Kichista paneh, her face was covered. He did not recognize her. And he went and was with her. And she said, what will you give me for that? And he said, I'll send Gedi Izim and Atzon. I'll send you a goat from my flock. She said, okay, but I want a collateral. I want a guarantee, a pledge. What pledge? Let me have your chotamcha, your signet ring, pitilcha, your cloak, matcha, your walking stick. And then when you send the goat, I'll send that back. He agreed. And he was with her, intimate with her. And she became pregnant. Even though the Torah does not make a big issue about him being with this harlot, meaning before the Torah was given, right? He was not a married man at this point, right? His wife had died. But we see the precipitous drop of Yehuda, the leader amongst the brothers, the tribes. We see where this has gotten to. And it's going to get even worse. She then went back home and put back on her mourning widow garments. Yehuda sends the goat as payment to find the woman by the crossroads, and he can't find her. And he asks the people of the place, excuse me, where's the prostitute? Where's the Kadesha? I need to give her something. No, the prostitute that was over there by the crossroads? And they said, there's no prostitute by the crossroads. He comes back to Judah and says, I couldn't find her. Yehuda said, okay, look, enough's enough. We tried to send her, right? We don't want to become a laughing stock, a buzz, an embarrassment. Let her keep what she has. We tried. Okay. We'll get on with life. Page 212. Months pass. All of a sudden, Tamar, in her widow garments, is visibly pregnant. It was told to Yehuda saying, Tamar, your daughter-in-law, is pregnant. Well, the punishment for that was capital punishment. Yehuda said she should be taken out and be burnt. She was being taken out, Pasuk Chafei 25 on page 212. She sent to her father-in-law saying, Li'ish asher eila lo anochi hara. She didn't say, hey, buddy, these are yours. This ring, this cloak, this staff is yours. She said, to whoever these belong to, anochi hara, I am pregnant. Vatomer, she said, haker na, recognize, please, to whom this ring, cloak, and staff belongs to. Now hold this 1 second and turn back to page 206. When they had sold Yosef and they took his garment and they dipped it in the blood and they sent it to their father, they said, 4th line down on page 206, in the middle of that line, Pasuk Lamed Bet, Hakerna, recognize, please. Is this the garment of your son? All of a sudden, Tamar says to Yehuda, Hakerna, recognize, please. The same exact words. The same exact words, that which led to Yehuda's precipitous drop. Now we're coming to a moment of truth. Hakerna, recognize. To whom does this all belong? Vayaker, back to 212. Vayaker Yehuda. And Yehuda recognized it. Now, Yehuda has three options. He could act like he doesn't recognize it and allow her to be killed. He could say he can recognize it, but not admit that it's his. He could say, oh, well, in light of this new evidence that has come forth, let's delay this execution. Let's find out what happened. And that way he could have saved his own honor, his own dignity, and also saved the life of innocent Tamar. Or there's a third path. And that's what Yehuda chose. Vayomer, and he said, Tzadka mimeni. She is more righteous than I, or she is righteous mimeni. It's from me. I'm the one who made her pregnant. Imagine the fortitude, the strength that it took for him to publicly announce, here he is, one of the judges. And the other judges, some say, included Yaakov, included his father, included Yitzchak, his grandfather. What a mess. In front of my father and grandfather, admit? But that's what Yehuda did. Tzadka mimeni. She is more righteous. She is righteous. Mimeni. It's from me that she is pregnant. Ki I had not given her to Shelah, my son. Therefore, she sought to do Yibum through me. If I was not going to give my son Shelah to do Yibum, Yibum will be done through me. Once the Torah was given, Yibum can only be done through a paternal brother, not from anyone else. But the concept of Yibum can be done through any member of the family. Before the Torah was given, this Yibum was done. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't do it for Yibum. I did it thinking she was a harlot. She is righteous. It's from me that she's pregnant. Below Yasaf od ledata. And it was. Remember, she became pregnant from this encounter. When it was time for her to give birth, behold, there were twins in her womb. What happened over here? We'll go to the English. When she gave birth, one put out a hand. The midwife took a crimson thread and tied it onto his hand, saying, this one emerged first. That way they would know who was the Bechor. And it was, as he drew back his hand, behold, his brother emerged. And she said, oh, what strength. And she said, ma paratzta alecha paretz. What strength have you shown? That your brother was in front and somehow you made it out first. And she named him Peretz. Va'achar, and afterwards Yatsa Achiv, his brother came out of Shal Yado Shani, who had the crimson thread on his hand. Vayikra Shemo Zarach, and she named him Zarach, which means glowing, because of that crimson thread. Peretz and Zarach. Out from them comes King David. Out from them comes the whole lineage of kings. Out from them comes Mashiach. The Mashiach has to be a descendant of David. And of course, lineage only goes paternally. Right? That's where Christianity kind of tied themselves up into a knot. They instated the whole pagan idea of a virgin birth. They imposed that by clearly mistranslating a verse from Isaiah, right? But if there was a virgin birth, which of course we don't believe in, so then there's no paternal lineage. So then he can't be Mashiach. He can't be the anointed one. He can't be the Messiah. But putting that aside, out from Yehuda comes Mashiach. Out from Yehuda comes the lineage of Malchus. Because as we saw in Tehillim Ayin Bet 72, the role of the king is to help those who are in need of help, to help the powerless, the oppressed. And Yehuda went from used his position of leadership originally to take advantage of the powerless, of the oppressed, of Yosef, who was powerless, who was being oppressed by the brothers. And he utilized his power to take advantage of that. Let's not just kill him. Let's make some money off the deal. Acting in the antithesis manner of a king. And then he dropped and dropped and dropped. And sometimes we need to hit rock bottom in order to turn ourselves around. And we have a concept that when a person does teshuvah, their averot, their sins, are considered to be like mitzvot. Why? Why would that be? Well, if it's their sins that led them to turning around, then their sins were part of their teshuvah and can be considered like a mitzvah. And we saw Yehuda's precipitous drop. He leaves the brothers, leaves the family, goes in business over there, marries a Canaanite woman. However, we'll understand that. The daughter of a merchant or the daughter of a Canaanite, but she's referred to as a Canaanite. And he starts having kids, and then he's away, and then the wife dies, and he marries the sons off. And then he lies or misleads the daughter-in-law. And then he's with her thinking she's a harlot. It's going down, 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 but then there is that turnaround, that moment of hakerna, recognize the same words that he used for his father, now is being used for him. And now he needs to hakerna, he needs to recognize, realize the things that she took from him, cloak, staff, ring, all of those are the accruements of royalty, of power. Hakerna, are these yours or not? Are you a leader or not? Are you a king or not? Are you a lion or a fox? Hakerna, recognize, are these yours? Do you deserve these? Is this who you are or not? And he recognized. And he turned it around. And in fact, from that union came Peretz and Zarach, the forebearers of King David. Had he had her killed, the children would have been killed along with her. No royalty. Hakerna, he needed to recognize who he was. And who would he be? And what would be with his future? So we have Yaakov with his deception becoming an Ish Emet. We have Yehuda using his power to oppress the oppressed, turning it around, and here is the most helpless person, this Tamar, this pregnant widow. She is the most helpless. She is in his hands to do as he wishes, and he turns it around, and he becomes the Melech. He becomes the king that he is supposed to become. And we have Yosef starting off in an immature, socially inept manner. And we'll have to see what Yosef goes through and how Yosef becomes one of the few who are referred to as Yosef HaTzadik. We don't say Avram HaTzadik, Yitzchak HaTzadik, Yaakov HaTzadik, Yehuda HaTzadik, Ruven HaTzadik, Moshe HaTzadik, Aaron HaTzadik. We don't call them HaTzadik. Yosef is referred to as Yosef HaTzadik. So stay tuned next week's, and we'll see how Yosef also turns himself around. Because that, my friends, is what life is all about. And that's what we're giving our period of time in our department store, our 45 minutes in the department store. Not leishev v'shalva, not to sit back and relax and work on our backhand, but to accomplish. And the major part of that accomplishment is improving ourselves, and thereby improving the world around us, the people around us, and the world around us. We all have our missteps. We all have our areas of weakness. Welcome to the human race. And the time that's given to us is to try to improve it. And we're not born tzaddikim. We're not born with a sin over our head, but we're not born tzaddikim. And we need to progress, develop into that. Yaakov progressed. Yehuda progressed. We'll see how Yosef is going to progress. And that leaves it for us also to progress. Okay, everybody, have a very good day, everybody. At 8 o'clock, on Thursday, we'll have lunch and learn at our usual 1 o'clock time on Hanukkah. And at 8 o'clock, we're going to have a little community get-together, a little community Hanukkah lighting. And Warren, the president's going to share a few words. I'm going to share a few words. It'll be a nice way for the community to get together. We haven't been able to get together now for, I don't know, is it 9 months? I don't know what it is anymore. I'm losing track, right? But for quite a while, about 8 months, I think, at this point. So we're going to get together on GoToMeeting for a little Hanukkah get together. So please mark your calendars, 8 p.m. this Thursday night, the first night of Hanukkah. Look forward to seeing all of you then. And also, of course, those who can join us 1 o'clock for lunch and learn on Hanukkah, which is also going to be on this, well, a similar theme about this rejuvenation, how we need to turn ourselves around and how that pertains to Hanukkah. Okay, so that's at 1 o'clock on Thursday. Good seeing everybody. Shavua
Thank you.
tov.
Thank you. Thank you.
So much.
Bye-bye.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Shavua tov.